The Browns will win a game this season.
You think they're gonna beat Green Bay?
No. I said this season at some point.
Oh, okay.
The Browns take on the Green Bay Packers at home this week, and the only thing I can really say about it is that we'll probably have a good time at Muni Lot.
Yeah, we could have a great time in Muni Lot. A couple beers flowing, a live show to get into. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. But I feel like after last week, everybody's balloon has already popped for the orange and brown, and it's up to them to dig us out of it. Now, I will say there's been some cool things going on. Obviously, Quinshon Judkins moved to the top of the depth chart. He has a full week of practice this week. What do you expect from the Ohio State Buckeye?
I expect a lot from him. He looked good in the loss. The problem isn't him, it's our O-line. I think he might be able to help that with some of his explosiveness. He's a power back. He hits the holes just differently. But like we talked about in the film breakdown of the Ravens game, our O-line's getting zero push. And it's so to the forefront too. Like I just watched that Bills game and watching the Cook hit the holes because, their O-line's actually doing what they're supposed to do and getting up to the
Getting
second
pushed.
level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a difference? So, there's only so much that Quinshon can do. I think he'll have a decent game. I have him spoiler alert for my bets later, but I do have him getting a touchdown. But ultimately, it's not really up to him, is it?
No, and that's a good way to transition right into the injury report because you talk about the O line. Yes, they fumbled for lack of a better term in the Ravens game, but you have Jack Conklin limited both days at practice. You have Joel Bitonio back injury, a DNP, did not participate for both practices thus far going into the weekend. Does that scare you? I know we had some film breakdowns on one Joel Bitonio and how he looked kinda shaky at best, but what do you think this O-line's gonna look like going into this weekend?
Not good, frankly. Yes, it does scare me. We have had 0 traction, um, and it's on all phases of the game minus the defense. The defense breaks down eventually, just because they're on the field so much, but that's the only unit that has really looked good. Special teams doesn't look good. The offense just looks anemic, and even when we have good pass pro, we can't do anything because they're dropping into a zone because they don't have to stack the box. They're not worried about the run at all. That was the case against the Ravens. And then we see very little separation from our receivers too. So all sides of this offensive coin are kind of failing simultaneously, and I'm not sure how you fix it because obviously this is a tight end heavy, supposed to be a run heavy and play action type of offense. None of that works if you're not getting the run game going.
No, it doesn't work. I'm leaning towards the thought process that Joel might not actually play in this game, which would then bring in one Tevin Jenkins to step up in that role. And he was the big name free agent in terms of the offensive line that we brought in last year. He played guard for the Bears before and played really well there when healthy. That's the key here. He has had injuries in each of his seasons. He looks solid in the preseason. So I'd be curious. It doesn't excite me. Excite me isn't the right word, but with the shaky play, whether it be because Joel was hurt last week and he tried to play through whatever's going in with his back, or Joel is just getting older and he's a step behind. I'd be curious to see Tevin Jenkins and what he does in this starting capacity if he does play, considering he's 27. He's had some ups, he's had some downs. Of course, a former second overall pick.
Yeah, I mean, the key here is what we've talked about for weeks now. They need to establish the run, and they need to get manageable third downs. We haven't done that so far. I don't normally say this, and some of Kevin Stefanski's creativeness I don't usually like, but I think we need to get a little more creative on offense. Unfortunately, though, I'm not sure that Joe Flacco's the guy to run that type of offense.
No, he's not, but you know who is?
Who's that?
Quinshon Judkins in the Wildcat, baby. I want to see craziness in Huntington Bank Field. I want to see us try some things. If you want to beat the Green Bay Packers, who, for all intents and purposes, is the best team in the NFL right now, at least in my
Yeah,
opinion. I think you agree with me in that.
I do.
You gotta pull out all the stops, and I'm fine with pulling out all the stops. It's week 3, you're 2-0-2 right now. You need to get a win on paper, and if that means opening up the playbook and using some stuff that you might not have called in week 3, if you drew up the season how you wanted to, you gotta do it. I jest a little bit when I say Judkins and Wildcat, but,
You know what, though? That's
after seeing Fannin in Wildcat week 1, who knows? Maybe that's a bold prediction for the game.
normally, I would say you're nuts. I don't wanna see that at all, but something's gotta give with this offense, and, like you said, the Packers look to be the best team in the NFL. They went and beat Detroit, who then put up 52 points the next week, like, they're dominating all phases of the game, and they've been really efficient. But we have the tools on defense to get to Love. We have the tools to stop Jacobs. It's what can we do on the other side of the ball, and can we stay off the field? That answer's been a resounding no so far. But if we could try some new, I mean, now's the time, right? This season, if you're looking at it, I think we both ended up a little optimistic to start the season. I more so than you.
Yeah,
Uh, that's quickly turned though. I mean, looking at this offense and this team, we have a Super Bowl caliber defense, in my opinion, and
yeah.
that's not bullshit. I think we actually do. We have 0 offense to pair with it. So it's not a Super Bowl team, and I think I told you the other day, we'll be lucky to win 3 games. I mean, that over under of Vegas is it's turning out pretty true. I expected to see more on the offensive side, and you know what? We were talking about this today. I said, "What if, McDaniels becomes, or Mike McDaniel becomes available? Do you jump on that?" Because he is a creatively offensive guy. He was a Browns coach before, by the way. Uh, Part of this for me isn't just personnel. Yes, the O line needs a lot of work. Yes, trotting out a 40-plus-year-old quarterback. But at a certain point, when does it not land at Stefanski's feet? I mean, this offense does not look prepared to start the season. You had all summer, all camp. Forget about Judkins for a minute. This is what you trot out. A part of that has to be blamed on the coaching.
I'm going to have you pump your brakes a little bit there, E. And I only say that because after week 1, we were not as down on the offense as we are after week 2. And we're talking
We
about leaps and
we
bounds
weren't.
of we
The
weren't.
offense didn't
No.
do shit.
I mean, Joe Flacco almost had 300 yards. It wasn't on Flacco. It wasn't on um, the play calling per se. It was dropped balls and no, lack of blocking. You can't do
When's the
anything
last
about.
time the Browns scored 21 plus points?
It's been 8 games. I know the statistic is out there.
I mean, that speaks for itself, man.
I agree. I agree. But it is still going into week 3 to have a complete flip of opinion in my mind is now, am I more down on the Cleveland Browns than I have been the last 2 weeks? 100%. But to have a complete flip of opinion over 2 games, we got to let it play out a little bit more. We got to be a little less knee jerk. I
It's
want to
not 2
talk
games, by the way. It's 20,
your
because this goes back to last season, and if you write off last season, fine, but it's a systemic issue that we've been dealing with.
that all goes back to the Deshaun Watson trade, in my opinion. So who's to blame? And yes, I get at some point it has to land on Kevin Stefanski's feet. But when you have the owner and the media talking about how he was the one who made the call on the Watson trade, blase, blase, blah. We don't need to get into that. I want to talk Green Bay right now. Green Bay, they have a lot of key injuries going on right now. Obviously, they have the Reed injury that we saw on Thursday Night Football last week, the broken clavicle, who was dealing with the foot. Tucker Kraft tweaked his knee today, and they were nervous about it. And then, of course, they have 2 starting offensive linemen out as well. The Browns' defense, as you said, is stout. It is
Mhm.
stoic. It is awesome. Where do you see these injuries coming into play for the Browns defense to potentially get their first turnover of the season?
Well, Kraft's a big one, because that's one of Love's favorite targets.
For sure.
I think
I
that
agree.
impacts the game a lot. Uh, the question is, what's Jordan Love gonna look like when he's really pressured? And because I think we will turn it up, and Schwartz's scheming has been pretty great so far. I think
Solid for sure.
you can't really look at the second half of Baltimore and put that on the defense. That's a result of turnovers, and again, we talked about it. But um, I think that it's going to be a close game again at half. The question is, what's the offense going to do? And I don't want to keep belaboring that point. Um, but I think the defense will be there. The injuries are definitely holding Green Bay back here. And as much as Jordan Love has continued to mature, he's more confident this season. He's healthier. He's playing both in and out of structure, if that makes sense. But
Yeah,
he has those weapons around him. But I think that I think he'll have a worse game than a lot of people would think, to be honest. I think this defense gets to him.
I think this defense gets to him too. And to be clear, honestly, I think we're in pretty deep lockstep here. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the defense is going to smother him to a point. And if Kraft does not play in this game, his favorite check down option, I think that is going to lead to more problems for Jordan Love and this offense to keep it closer, even if Cleveland cannot score 20 points to save their life. Now, can they score 21 even being smothered? Well, maybe I just broke my score prediction to you a little bit. I'm talking about the Green Bay offense, not the
Oh,
Browns
Green Bay,
offense.
okay.
Yes.
I'm like, "No,
No.
they can't."
No, I
Uh,
am talking about Green Bay scoring 21 and spoiling, what I think they're gonna put up on the board. What else? What other injuries do you see coming into play here? I thought of one, but I wanna hear what you have to say first.
well, if you're talking Packers, obviously their O-line,
Yeah.
that is going to make a difference in this game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think the emphasis should be on the Packers offense though, honestly. I think it should be on their defense. And I know, you have Love who's lauded this year and all the weapons like we talked about, but they have a really strong secondary. And I think that's what's going to give us the most trouble in this game. Xavier McKinney's a very good player, key playmaker. They play an aggressive style of defense that really focuses on turnovers as well, which does not bode well for us. But yeah, if I had to pick key injuries for Green Bay, it's on that O line. Um, I think you're going to see quite a few sacks and tackles for loss in this game in favor of Cleveland.
I think you're going to see a stuffed run game, much like we did with Derrick Henry last week, because I think Derrick Henry is much more of a better back, in all honesty, when you compare him and Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
The injury I was thinking about, though, is our punter, Corey Bajorquez. I'm not talking Green Bay. I'm going back to Browns a
Right.
little bit now. He obviously got ran into during the Ravens game, punted the rest of the game, held the rest of the game. He has been, let me see here, limited and then full today. But this tweet came out from Zach Jackson where the Browns worked out two punters. Um, what are your reactions? I mean, about all of this? Do you think with him being a full participant today, he's going to practice or he's going to play, or what's going to happen here?
I think he probably will play, to be honest. But I'm not worried about this at all. And listen, I'm a huge Bajorquez fan. I think his ability to flip the field for us is unmatched, but we're not going to win this football game punting.
Yeah.
So as much as I'm sorry to my kicker heads out there, if such a thing exists, but that's not where the keys to this game lie. So I'm not worried about it. If he starts, if he doesn't start, that's the position like I'm least worried about to impact this game. And I know it sounds silly because there are crucial moments that you rely on that punter. A good team, not even the Browns, a good team relies on their punter to do exactly what I said, flip the field. It's so important and it makes a difference. Especially paired with our defense. All of a sudden, you drop a punt within the 10, defense does its thing, you're winning that battle of field position and now you have 40, 50 yards, 60 yards instead of 80 yards
Or
or yeah,
maybe
maybe a
even getting a
safety.
safety. um,
It
I,
matters.
do you think he's going to play though? Because with him being a full
Yeah.
participant today, I think he's going to play. I think they just brought in punters to be better safe than sorry with this whole situation. But it's sad that we come on here and we're talking about Corey Bajorquez because he is legit a top 5 player on this roster right now.
Yeah, I do think he plays. I think the question is, do they send a guy to the practice squad and have a punter on the sideline in case that injury is exacerbated during the game? Because punting's one of those positions where, like, place kicking, somebody else can do it. Punting's just a little. I'm not
Yeah.
saying you can't do it, but it's different. It's definitely a specialized position.
Well, you remember that clip of Njoku wanting to go out there and kick the field goal. So, in my opinion, I think Njoku, Chief should just go out there and give us a punt if Corey ends up feeling it a little bit in that leg ankle area where he was hurt.
You know what? Why not?
There is one last matchup I want to touch on that I'm thinking in my mind, and apparently I'm just on my O line kick this week because of the film breakdown and whatnot. But Micah Parsons, Dewan Jones, Dewan Jones, you need to show me something this week, man, because you have your work cut out for you. You thought Trey was a problem in week one. Well, you're about to see Miles Garrett, but a little bit younger and not as good as Miles Garrett. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Um,
I expect a lot of chipping, a lot of help with the backs, because you can't just let Micah be set free in this game. And Dewan, I do expect a lot of false starts from him. He had the one crucial one last week in that opening drive. Um, and I don't care if they say it's heat, whatever. I don't think they're feeling Dewan, and hence them subbing him in and out like that. But unfortunately, this O line is not going to be decent if we do it by committee. Um, you're absolutely right. Dewan Jones has got to step up and be that level of talent that we think he can still be. He has the physical tools.
You've seen the
Um,
flashes for sure, yeah.
yeah, it's just it's between the ears at a certain point. But yeah, Micah could wreak havoc, and we don't need that.
Same thing goes for Cornelius Lucas because with what we've seen out of Conklin, I don't think he's going to play. I'd be surprised if he's going to play. He was limited both days yet again. Um, and if they're flipping around edges and doing that kind of thing, I don't know, man. The O line scares me. I said it before the season started. It felt kind of hot takey in the moment because everyone was so high on the offensive line going back to the Stefanski scheme. And so far, I've been pretty right in my assessment of they might just be a little old at this point. One last thing I want to touch on before we go to score predictions. I don't know if you've noticed, but Mike Hall did not participate in practice today. Obviously, he's been dealing with that knee injury from last year, but at this point, why didn't they just put him on the pup list? Because we're coming up on week 3. If he didn't participate, 2 days out from the game, well, 3 days out, odds of him playing on Sunday are slim. Why didn't we just save that roster spot? Do you have any reaction to that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think they thought that he would be better off. I don't think that they thought it would linger this long is my answer to that. Hence no pup list. But I'm really sick of talking about this guy at a certain point. Like, it's like, come on, man. And I don't know that it's on him, dealing with an injury. Like, I feel for the guy, but it's frustrating.
It is frustrating. And my thing with this whole situation is not even that he's hurt and not even that like an injury lingers or whatever, but why has it a consistent thing with this Cleveland Browns team with the lingering injuries and the weird injuries and whatnot? I feel like we have some sort of injury thing going on every year that just doesn't make sense in terms of the typical structure of how NFL teams do things, like not putting him on the pup, like not doing something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. It's interesting. Obviously, this Browns team has dealt with its fair share of injuries. But at a certain point, we got to stop making that excuse too, and rely on the guys we have.
Oh, I agree. I don't mean it from an excuse standpoint. I mean it more from a standpoint of why can't we just keep our players healthy and away from these lingering injuries? That's all I was saying.
I feel like it's one of those things where, like, you're saying, what are we doing different, kind of thing, than other teams? Why are we dealing with it? And I don't think that's the case. I can relate it to, and I know you're gonna roll your eyes, but my my other football team is Chelsea. Talking soccer, for years, like, they've dealt with injuries, and there's these conspiracy theories that it's the training staff's fault that once so and so left, I think that's just it's a result of the game that they're playing. Injuries happen. I don't think it's any different than any other team. It's just we're so focused on that. Like we're, this is a multi-billion-dollar franchise. I don't think our doctors or our training staff are any different than any other team. I think we just have bad luck occasionally, and that's what happens to NFL teams.
That's funny because that I see the correlation because that our training staff sucks narrative goes around the Browns. I don't know if you've seen it out there. So the fact
Yeah, for
that
sure.
your Chelsea and your Browns fandom kind of correlate there, that's funny to me. We'll see. Hopefully Mike Hall plays this weekend and this is a moot point type of thing. They just DNP'd him for this practice so he could full go tomorrow and then play on Sunday, but it's not looking good. You want to talk odds? You want to talk our predictions? You want to get into that whole thing?
Yeah, let's do it because I had originally said that I was surprised that they were giving us less points than against Baltimore, and you weren't surprised by that. And as we talk through it, I'm not sure I'm as surprised either, I guess, because I do think our defense is stout, like we mentioned. But Browns get 7.5. The over under is 41.5, which I do think is a touch high for this game because it was similar in Baltimore for the Baltimore game. And then anytime touchdown odds, none of the Browns are in the negative here, meaning likely. But you have Judy at 260, Judkins at 280, Tillman at 310. Jacobs is the only one with that positive odds, meaning they are more likely to score at minus 185, etc. And then the Browns' first drive, I like this one just because touchdown's so unlikely. It's plus 480. Punt, though, is minus 125. What do you think of those odds?
That's hilarious. I didn't realize that was the final line on that graphic when we were talking pre-show. Plus 480 for first drive touchdown versus that's crazy to me. Like you said, the line makes sense to me with how the team played last week. A 7.5 point line, even when you are the home team, is kind of large, honestly, for the NFL, on top of all the Green Bay injuries and everything that's going on. The over under, I think, is high because I think this is going to be a low scoring affair. This is going to be a defense heavy affair just because of the injuries with Green Bay. And of course, whatever the hell our offense is, that jumbled up mess that we call a Cleveland
Yeah,
Browns offense. I
I'd
think it's
take
going
the
to
under
I take the
personally.
under too. I'm with you 100%. I do like the idea of a Quinshon Judkins touchdown too, just because it's his first one in the dog pound. I think they're going to use him heavy, like heavy, like 15 plus carries heavy, which is a lot for a Kevin Stefanski running back. So there's plenty of things here that I think are still worth your money in terms of betting in favor or towards the Browns, but just don't touch that money line or even the spread, maybe.
And I will say before I want to hear your prediction on the score, but before we get to that, I do think that the key here, if Judkins can have some good carries despite the O line issues, and we can establish some sort of run game with, him and Sampson hitting that 1-2, this game could be open. I don't have the Browns winning. We'll get into score predictions. I have it as Packers winning 21-10. Um,
21-10. That's funny because we're very close. I feel like we've been in lockstep this episode, aside from the little bickering about the Deshaun Watson era, which is funny because I don't think that happens a lot with you and I, even though we're good friends.
well, I guess it depends if we're going to get a realistic score prediction because I gave one last week in our live, which was the Ravens winning because I believed that they were going to win and you did not. Um, so yeah, if you're being realistic, I think we're probably normally on the same page.
I am being realistic, and I want to remind you, you were the one who was overly positive before the season. I was just feeling good with the smack talk and the energy with the Art Modell game and all of that being in our favor. And then I forgot that we're also Cleveland fans, and that's not how it works for us. My score prediction for this game is 14-21. I think we get two touchdowns in there, one of them being a rush, one of them being some pass that makes it. Flacco probably throws two picks or something like that again, and the defense just holds for most of the game, but isn't enough to overcome a team that can't get over 20 points in a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know what we really need, and we haven't had it, and we're not as good as our defense is, we're not good at this particular thing, so I would not take this bet, but we need a defensive touchdown. Um, Turnovers are one thing, but we need them to actually put the ball in the end zone, and that could be an X factor in, helping to decide the outcome of this game.
If there's one knock on this defense, it's the fact that they don't have a turnover yet on the year. With how great they've been playing, with how good Greg Newsome's looked. Of course, Denzel Ward's been good, minus the heat and the cramping and all the issues that happened last week. Miles Garrett, Carson Schlesinger, you name it. I mean, all levels of this defense are great. We need a turnover out of these guys, whether it be a strip sack, whether it be a pick, whatever. We need a damn turnover out of these guys. I feel like it's the one thing that they're not good about getting year in and year out.
The problem is the opportunities have been there. If I'm not mistaken, they knocked the ball out twice, one out of Burrow's hands, one out of one of the Ravens receivers' hands. The ball just bounced the right way for the opposing team, the wrong
Yeah.
way for the Browns. They've also dropped passes there's a reason that you're a DB and not a receiver. I think that is a really true statement. But we've had the opportunity, we just haven't been able to capitalize.
Yeah, we haven't. We'll see this weekend. It's if there was a key to the game that I would really put my pin in and say this needs to happen, the Browns defense needs at least a turnover, at most a score, I guess would
Yeah,
be the best way to put that in the brackets. One last thing I wanted to touch on with you real quick before we get in our parlays, if you don't mind.
yeah.
The Browns are debuting the all brown uniforms this weekend. This was the graphic they put out for the game. I will leave my comments about the graphic itself to the side and ask
You
you
don't
if
like
you're
it?
at nah, the dog being in there. Just it just feels a little too photoshoppy for me.
Okay.
Um,
Um, I don't mind it, but this uniform does go hard, I'll say that. The one of the cool listen, there's only so much you could do with the Browns. You have 2 colors and you don't have, like, a logo or anything that you could put on a uniform, but the new brown helmets are pretty sick. Like, I'm a fan.
I am a fan as well. It's the same thing when they unveiled the whites. It's the same thing when they did the throwbacks with the numbers on the side. I am a fan of them doing these alternate identities and tapping into different things. I also saw a rumor on X. I don't know if it's true, so don't put a lot of validity into this. That the Browns were trying to get back the color rush versions with the stripes, the ones that everybody
Oh, yeah.
loves for this uniform, but they have one more year until they can bring that back out of the closet because of all the different uniform changes that they've brought out throughout the years. The NFL has weird rules about
I
that
was
kind
gonna
of thing.
say, come on, NFL, like, do better. I will say, though, I wanna give credit to ownership here because, we're often critical of Jimmy and D. Haslam, and rightfully so, we should be. But the one thing that they get right pretty consistently is the marketing. I know people had issues with them changing to that brighter orange color years back, but everything kind of has flowed pretty well on that side. And I think they've done a good job reintroducing the 46 uniforms, like you mentioned, the white, the brown on brown this year. Even the in-stadium fan experience, that was something that D. Haslam really focused on when they took over the team. They want you to walk in and essentially every bit of that, just walking through the concrete facade, in the exterior, if you notice from before they own the team to after, there's a big difference in that there's
Yep.
more signage, there's better, you see the big player motifs, that sort of thing. So they've done a good job there. And I'll say when they build this new stadium, I think fan experience tickets are probably going to be crazy, but fan experience will be A plus in my opinion.
And that's a good time to have the quick plug that the stadium got approved by, what is it, ODOT or whatever?
Hmm.
The stadium plan that was originally denied by ODOT is now approved. So another notch in the billionaires winning their stadium over in Brook Park.
The
But
stadium's happening, and I think we should be excited for it. I mean, thinking that there will likely be a Super Bowl in Cleveland, probably not featuring the Browns, but at that stadium, that's pretty damn cool.
it is pretty damn cool indeed, Eric. We got some parlays for the week. We have not been good gamblers so far in this NFL season, though.
No, we have not, and just to remind anybody watching, the idea was that Noah and I were gonna bet $10 every single week, and we have to build a three-leg parlay, and we'd keep track throughout the entire season. The winner who wins the most money, winning these parlays throughout the season, will win, obviously, it's more about the money, but the loser will have to do something. We haven't decided what, we're not decided if we're gonna take opinions from fans on that, but there's going to be some type of punishment for losing. But we're both over so far.
We are 0-4. I'll dive into mine first. And my parlay this week, I have moved away from the Cleveland Browns because it has
Wow.
not done me well whatsoever. So I am moving to the Sunday night game because I'm probably going to put some money on it anyway because I'm going to be watching it. And I took a safer than safe bet compared to some of the other ones I've done throughout the week. We have a Gibbs touchdown. We have a Zay Flowers touchdown, and we have a Derrick Henry touchdown. That is plus 535 odds. $10 wins you 53 bucks and 60 cents. These odds are according to FanDuel as of September 18th. Last week I went 0 for none of my legs hit. I'm 0 for 2 on parlays, 1 for 5 on legs. Eric, do you like my parlay, man?
I do. You went a little safer this week, which is funny. You were hitting the Browns drum really hard, which is ironic because in my parlay, I have a Browns player. So I have the Chiefs. I'm going with the spread here. It's 6 points. Chiefs are favored, but I think they'll cover that no problem. The Texans, I'm taking the money line. They're not favored. I think it's like 1.5, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken. But both these teams started the season 0-2, and I think both of them get their first wins this week. Texans should have won last week. If you were watching,
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield and Tampa had that comeback, which, by the way, we didn't talk about it, but it was so sad watching Baker and Chubb have really good games, respectively, on opposite sides and duel it out. It was like a weird timeline Browns fan kind of thing. But then I'm giving Judkins to get his first anytime touchdown. I just feel like he's going to punch it in. He's the one back this week. He's going to get his touchdown at home with that home crowd. $10 wins you $142. That would put me firmly in the lead, even if we both hit it. And I'm also 0 for 2 on the parlays and 1 for 5 on legs so far. So $0 earned, but I'm feeling good about this one, actually.
Well, we will see because I'm feeling very good and very simple about mine this week. And I feel like just getting a win and pushing myself into the win column will be the first step in hopefully winning this challenge between the both of us.
It won't count for points, but I might tail yours as well.
Yeah, it won't count for points, but it's an easy one to tail. I mean, it should be a cool 50 bucks in your pocket if the offensive play as the offenses should in that Sunday night game.
For sure. By the way, we mentioned it from the rip, but we are live Sunday from Unilot before this game. Come hang out with us, have a beer with us, give your prediction live on air. Prediction, I said that weird. But we are going to be going live around 9:30. We'll be in the front of Muni where it's the kennel, which is the big Browns painted bus with the face mask on the front. We'll be broadcasting right outside of there. So at the very least, come say hi. We have some things to give away, and we have a thing you can enter, a bigger giveaway as well.
Yeah, if you subscribe and leave a comment here on YouTube to At the Office, our page that you're watching this on right now, you will be entered to win a Browns jersey of whatever player you want shipped straight to your door from yours truly, meaning me and Eric. So go ahead, leave us a comment, subscribe, make sure you do all the things that help the YouTube algorithm help us, and maybe you'll be the lucky winner of a Cleveland Browns jersey.
Yeah, definitely enter that. All right. Well, we will see you all Sunday. The debate never ends, but the show does for now.